Hi everyone, welcome to Liza's Painting Parties. I am Liza and here is our weekly free event where we will paint together. The painting that we're going to be doing is our version of this beautiful photograph. This photograph was taken by Michael Lyons. He is a Canadian photographer and I have the link to his website in the comment section, so definitely check it out. He has beautiful images and we're using his photos for our options each week. So the way the painting parties works is every Saturday I put up 3 options of beautiful photos, and all of you vote on the one that you like the most, and then we paint that live all together on the Wednesday following. I announce the winner on the Tuesday before, just so you guys all know what we're going to be painting. And then we do our version all together on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So I have never tried to replicate or paint this. So this will be my first time doing my version of this photo with you all. So I will walk you through my process of how I would go about capturing this. So a few things to note. Anyone who hasn't painted with us before, I will be as direct and as step-by-step as possible with what I'm doing. It isn't about making it exactly like the photo. If you want it to be exactly like the photo, then you go onto Mike Lyons' site and you purchase it, and that's what you get. If you want to actually capture it and do something artistic and make it your own, that's what I encourage. So I want it to feel painterly. We'll take some artistic liberties and make it your own. If you want to put like a swing in the tree, if you want to have people walking, whatever you want, we can always change things up and do that together. So if you have any tips or tricks or anything, feel free to put that in the comments. You will notice there might be some weird links popping up. Oh wow, this person's relentless. So I'm just going to ban them as I see them come in, but I just want you guys to be aware of that. And don't click those links, please. Because they're not actually legitimate. So I will keep my eye out on that. Hi Astrid, I'm glad you're joining. If anyone who's not a random bot, feel free to say hi. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and we'll go from there. So I'll start up in just a little bit. So yeah, so what we'll do is, in terms of what you need for this painting party, if you can't join me right away, you can always watch this later. So on Facebook, under the videos tab, you can go on and you can watch it afterwards. This is the 75th painting party that I've done. So if you are digging the style or you want to check out other paintings I've done and you want to follow along, go check that all out on the videos tab. You can also watch the videos on my YouTube channel, Liza's Painting Parties, and everything's there. It's all free. It's all good to go from there. If you want to support and you're digging it, there's a link to buy me a coffee. That's a legit link. So if you wanted to put any money my way, that's the way you do it. Don't click these random live link things that might pop up. Again, they're like scammers, and there's not any way for me to really get rid of them unless I just ban them all individually. So, fun times. Anyways, so I'll move the camera as well when we start so that it'll be focused on my canvas and on the photo. What I'm using is 11 by 14 canvas board. You can use whatever you so desire. You don't have to use that. I like canvas board for storage purposes, and also I've just been digging them since I've been doing a lot of paint parties, and that's what I've been using. In terms of paints, I use acrylic paints. I use cheap acrylic paints from the dollar store. My approach is, if you're a beginner, if you haven't painted before, you can kind of get anything and you can just start your journey and have fun with it. So the paints that I use are like crafters acrylic. They're like $1 each at Dollarama here in Canada. I don't know how much they are in the States, probably similar. So I have red, blue, and yellow. I have white and black. If you have those 5 colors, you can paint anything with them. Of course, if you have other premixed colors, it's always good too. So I have some other ones I might dip into, just because, of course, blue, for example, this blue is a very like kind of a darker blue. I have a lighter blue, but we can always change that up with white paint and whatnot as well. So don't stress too much, but those are what you need. Should also have some water in a container so we can rinse out our brushes. We have paper towel as well to keep our brushes clean. and I have a palette to mix and to just put the paint on. And I suggest having at least 3 brushes, a nice big one to do lots of coverage, a medium, and one that has a nice fine point on it to get some detail going. The ones that I use, this is a number 10. It's a flat one. I think it's called a filbert. I might be wrong. And then a medium size is a number 2. And it's the same type of thing where it's very wide there, but then actually when it's wet, it actually produces a really thin point on the side. And then I have this one, which is, I believe is a number 4, but it's a really nice fine point brush. So if you have a variety of brushes, it's fine. It's really just about what you feel comfortable using, and it's getting comfortable with what you like as well. Okay. So yeah, so we'll get started in a moment or two. I'm just gonna make sure there's no other random links popping up. Okay, perfect. We're good. Awesome. All right. Sorry about that. That always like kills the chat as well whenever people are being scammy, which sucks. Anyways. Okay, so we are going to get started. I'm gonna just put the picture like that. I'm gonna bring the canvas this way. I'm gonna bring this down and down. Okay, I have a better view of what I'm doing. Hi, Rula. I'm glad you're joining. So fun. And I ask to anyone who's joining, if you don't mind, I would love to see your painting. So once you're done, please snap a picture and share it with me. I love to see how everyone's done their own creations. Ah, bonsoir, Lily. Mon français, c'est n'est pas très bon. Très bien, très bien, très bon. Either or. Okay, so where are we going to start? So when I start with any acrylic paint, I like to take a look at my inspiration image and just start to map out where things are going to land on my canvas. So, and I always start with whatever's furthest in the background. So the first thing that I'm going to tackle is the sky. So the sky takes up like 3/4, I would say 75% of this canvas is that beautiful sky. And this, so I want my sky to come all the way almost down right to the bottom, essentially, and it's going to take up this whole section here, okay? The next thing I'm going to look at, I'm going to say, okay, so it's going to take up a big smackaroonie of it. What we're going to focus on is to get the colors of it and the vibrations of it. So I say the vibrations, I mean just like what's the feeling that you're getting from it, right? So I feel like there's some really nice intensity happening in the sunset. I really love the contrast between this like really like ultramarine kind of brilliant blue and it kind of dissipates. I'm not going to worry so much about the clouds just yet. I want to just get that background swat of color gradient happening. So to start, what I want to do is I want to get my blue. I'm going to put a nice glob of it on my palette. And I also want my white, and I'll show you how much I guess I'm putting on in a moment. I'm probably gonna use more than this realistically. And I'm gonna put some yellow too. Okay, and the yellow I think I went a little bit too far with it, but that's all right. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm working with right now. And I always rather put a little bit less than more, just so that it doesn't dry up, because the paint will dry up. I also happen to have a lighter blue, like a tropical blue, versus this Copenhagen blue, so I am going to be using both of those. I find with the dollar store paints, sometimes they already have like a premix in them, and so it's hard to capture some other color when there's already been like, it's already been mixed kind of, I think, with like a white or like with a different shade. So if you do have that, I would suggest that, but it's not fully necessary. So the first thing I want to do, because I want to get this to be easy to blend and to go from one to the other, I'm going to start off by just putting water a nice thin coat. I don't even know about coat. Coat sounds like too much. A little bit of water across the canvas of where I want my sky to be. So I'm just going to put water. Now, acrylic is water-based. And so when you do this, it will make it easier for you to blend, and it'll keep the paint from drying too quickly as well. Once the paint dries, you can't get a really good blend on, or you can't get any blend on, I should say, because once it dries, which is a great thing about acrylic, is when it dries, you can legit paint over it and do something totally different, and that's a great aspect of it. But when we're trying to have a nice gradient happen, we want the paint to stay wet, and we want to work fairly quickly to get that to happen. So if you're using a canvas board like I am, it actually stays wet longer than using an actual full-on canvas. So the canvas board, it doesn't like soak it in, but I find when you're using an actual like canvas, being more canvas material, it like soaks in the water, and it works really well. Like this technique still works, but I find with the canvas board, I need to get my paper towel and just dab it, because otherwise it becomes like a big sloppy mess. So that's why I'm dabbing it. But if you have an actual like full-on canvas, like not like a cardboard board kind of thing, don't worry about that. Okay, so now that I have it and it's damp, when I touch it, it feels damp. I'm going to start with my blue. I'm going to go with that darker blue, and I'm going to start popping it in at the top of my canvas. Again, we're not going to worry about the clouds that are poking around. Play with those after. I want to get the gradient to happen first. Okay, and you're not going to worry too much about it. I just want it to get on. I'm going to just do sweeping motions to get this nice, brilliant, bright blue on here. And if you're in an area where your paint dries very quickly, sometimes if you're close to, if you have your air conditioning going, or if you're in like a more humid, not humid, actually more dry climate, your paint may dry really fast. So the process of getting the paint on has to be like a little faster. And again, this is just the one color of blue that we're putting on so far. So don't stress too much about how it's going on. I like my strokes to be like kind of right across of it, but I might still end up doing another coat on top of it. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so when I got about, that's what, like maybe a third or so of that color, I want to start putting in a little bit of white. So I'm going to get the white, a nice amount on my brush, and I'm going just like under where I put the blue, and then I'm going to bring it up. So I have the white, and then I'm bringing it up and down. I'm just going to kind of back and forth a bit, but I want to, and then, so that starts to blend it, and then I start to like bring it up and down. So we start getting a little bit of the color changing. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get a bit more white, a lot more white, because my canvas has already dried quite a bit. And then I'm going to bring it up. So I already have a bit of a, we're starting that gradient is already happening. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm continuing to put that white, but I'm using the same brush that I was using for the blue. So there's still blue that's like in the barrel of the brush. So I'm just bringing back that, just like kind of pushing it in, so I might get a little bit of the blue coming back. And if it doesn't, I can always grab some blue and like throw a little bit in. I'm gonna use that lighter blue now, I think. And just start to play a little bit with that. On top of the white, I'm just putting a little bit of that lighter blue. Let's get some streakiness happening. And I'm using more white. And I'm absolutely splattering it on my iPad a bit, which I can actually scrape off, so that's good. It's not the first time that's happened. Okay. So now I start to have this effect happening. I am looking at the top here, and I kind of think I do want it to be a bit more opaque, so I might play back and put some darker blue up there afterwards, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. I want to continue with my gradient. So in this one, it actually almost does have a bit of a greenish hue in the sky. A lot of times I find that when it goes from like a yellow to a blue, you kind of don't really get that, the greenish hue, which would make sense because yellow and blue would make green, tends not really to happen. And it may look a little like pukey, I guess, or a bit odd. But we actually do see that happening a little bit here, although I still want to be cautious on it. So what I'm going to do before I even touch my yellow is I'm going to clean off my brush and get all of my blue off of it. And so basically I'm putting it in the water, and then when I use it on my paper towel, I'm doing it until like there's no blue that comes off on the paper towel. And that's how I know it's good to go. Oh, that's okay, Elaine. You can always watch it another time if you wanted to paint along later. No problemo. All right, so now that it's clean, I'm going to start a bit lower. Okay, and I have yellow, and I'm not going to go where my blue is, and I'm just going to put in a little bit of yellow. And then I'm just going to play with it back and forth. Okay. And it didn't touch the blue and a bit on top of it, but that's okay. Now I'm going to get a bunch of white, and now start lightly sweeping the white into the yellow, and then bringing it up into that lighter blue area. So it might produce slight green, but not anything pukey. So I'm going to go with pukey. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with putting some more bright yellow, but there's still some wispiness in it. Okay, so I have a nice like line there happening. Okay, it does get to be a bit orangey, so either if you have orange, feel free to use it, or you can use a bit of red. So I'm just going to put like a little drop on my palette, and you can either pre-mix it if you're more comfortable with it, or you can go crazy like me, and we can just touch red on here like that. And now I'm going to get a bunch of yellow, and I'm just going to go right on top of it with my bunch of yellow, and like literally mix that orange right on my canvas. More yellow, just tone down some of the red on there. A little bit more white, and just play, and I'm just putting some more white, playing with that. And you want to bring this slightly lower than wherever the horizon's going to be, because the horizon can sit just on top of it, and that's when you can make that line more the way you want it. So just bring it a little bit lower than wherever you want the horizon to be. Okay. So I think I'm going to stop around there. I think so. Okay. So now we have a nice gradient. It's a bit of a glare happening. There's always a bit of a glare. So that's what I got going on. So I just have it go from a dark blue to like a lighter one. There's some blue that kind of pokes back in, and then it becomes yellowy and a bit of an orange, and just kind of fades a bit too. It kind of doesn't really fade, to be honest. Like it kind of does stay still quite bright at the base. Yeah, maybe I should. It gets kind of dark. There's some weird like dark clouds happening, but I'm gonna make it a bit more orangey actually. Just putting more of that red back in. Get the yellow on top of it. And when I'm moving my brush, it's like I'm almost like barely touching it. Like I'm very like light on it. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I just saw another sketchy link thing come up. So I just want to make sure that I ban them so that no one gets scammed. Okay, so we're good. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm just gonna get that off of my brush right now. I usually have 2 water containers when I do this because one ends up getting murky pretty darn quickly. I would suggest the same to you, but again, it's really up to you. I'm going to go back up to my sky because I do want to make this top part a bit more opaque. I don't like the way it looks right now, so I'm just going to put in a bit more of that ultramarine blue in some of the areas so that it just makes it slightly more vibrant. So you can do the same, or if you like the way the sky looks at the top, then you can just leave it. You don't need to do this. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm liking that more, just to pop that a little bit more. Okay, so I want to play a little bit with some clouds. So that's going to be my next stop, is playing with clouds. Now, when I look at our inspiration photo, there's some cool things that are happening. So there's like a cloud here, or I don't even know if it's like a full cloud. It just feels like very wispy, and it has a little bit of like lighter. It almost has some of the yellows that are down here, kind of reflected in it, and the fluffiness, and then it has some gray in it as well. So that's really interesting. So I don't know if I want it to be as exactly like that, or if I want to just do my own style on it. I think I want to just play with my own style, to be honest. And then the other thing I'm thinking besides the clouds is we obviously have our center point where the sun is setting. But the interesting thing about that is the way it looks, where our tree is, it almost looks like it's like seared, like almost like a hole or something into like the tree. Like it's actually like the reflection is actually like in front of the tree in a really cool way. So I think I want to play with the sun and pop that in after we do the tree, which would not normally be what I would do, but just because of the way it's reflected, I think it's prudent to do it that way. So I'm going to approach it that way. That's just my thoughts on it so far. But yeah, let's play with some clouds. So I think I want to play with some kind of more painterly, fluffy clouds happening. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go, and it might end up being a little gray. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see the vibes. I'm going to put a little smidgen of black on my palette, but I'm not going to touch it yet. For anyone who, again, hasn't painted too much, as a reminder, if you have painted, when you use black, if you want to use it in anything, it is extremely powerful, and it will, I always suggest using like a quarter or like a fifth of what you think you need, and then adding from there, because it can kind of just take over. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just putting some white on my brush, and I want to start playing with some kind of cloudiness. And we already have a bit of a wispy vibe just from the way the sky, we put the sky in. But I'm going to take this kind of like lighter area that I've made here, and I'm just going to get white and just with my medium #2 brush, and I'm just dabbing a little bit here just to start creating the ideas of that cloud line. Now, most of these clouds are almost very straight at the bottom, if you notice. And most clouds tend to be, which is kind of odd. Not all clouds, but a lot of them are kind of like that. So it might have a little bit of a variation, but they stay pretty straight. When I'm doing this like dab bit, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not just being like a full-on stamp approach. So you want to make sure that it's not like stamp, 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 and then you see the exact same print of your brush the whole time. You kind of want to like move it slightly, so you kind of like move it in my fingers like that a little bit, just so so it's not like so patterned, if that makes sense. I'm going to bring that across, and then I think there's a bit more happening on this side, so I'm going to just put a little bit happening here. So I'm just going to do some like dabbies. So I'm not stressing about it being a cloud. I'm not stressing about the final shape of it, how it's looking. I'm just getting some white paint, and I'm just dabbing lightly, moving my brush a little bit back and forth. Just to create these like, that one just kind of trails off. It's fun. Okay, and then I think, what else do we want to do? Everything there is like darker. I don't know if I want to go darker. I'm scared. Okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna make a little bit with blue. Maybe some like bluey clouds, and then maybe we'll make them, I don't know. I put a little bit of blue in my white, but I don't know if that's gonna be a good idea or not. We'll see. I'll do it, and then if it looks bad, you guys don't have to do it. Yeah, I think that's alright actually. I'm just going on this top line where there's this blue, and I just added a little bit of the blue to my white just to make a bit of darker clouds, but I didn't want to go full on with the gray because I'm a little worried. I don't want it to be like boom gray. I don't know. So I'm just gonna play with the bluish dabs. I think that's a little much. So there we go. Yeah, that works. That works. It's alright. You know what? I am gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Put a little drop of black in there, and we'll see what happens. Ha 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 ha. Okay. I'm just gonna continue with these dabs. Oh man. Oh, that didn't turn out very nice. Okay, we'll just keep building. So I'm just grabbing, like, when it's a bit dark, then I'm just grabbing a little bit more white and just like pushing the white into it. Get more white. So again, the great thing about acrylic is that you can play with it, and if it doesn't do what you want it to do, you can wait till it dries, and then you can go on top of it and try again. That's the nice thing about it. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, just because there's a bit of like, I don't know, it's like a bit of reflection. We'll see if that works. gonna like touch this area with like a little bit of yellow and then dull it out with white. That's my plan. Yes, I think that's okay. So it has a bit of it. Let me bring it closer. Oh, it got weird, eh? Ooh, see, like I have a nice little pattern happening. Let's get rid of some of that pattern. See how the stamp effect kind of happened there? Like that was not cool. So I just kind of deleted it with my brush. And this, let's just, ooh, there's still some yellow in there. I don't like that. There you go. It's got some fluffiness happening. Okay. And maybe we need to put a little bit of that dark gray kind of cloud happening on the other side as well, like a little bit of it. There's some brewing just behind this guy. I'm going to put this in, then I'm going to have to touch up my white again. Yeah, that works. Probably should have done that gray one first, but that's okay. Live and learn. Yeah, that's working. I think that's nice. I don't know if I want to put that much more of it, to be honest, though. I think I want to kind of keep it a bit simpler. Now we have some nice clouds and lines happening down there, and we're already again getting some of that from the streakiness, so we don't need to add too much of it, but I still think it makes sense to put a little bit in. Oh, a black seems so intense. I don't know. A brown would be better. So I have black, and then I just put some red in it just to kind of not make it so boom black, because I feel like that would be a bit much. So I'm just gonna put like a line in and a line and kind of going fat, like I'm kind of like pushing it down a little bit. And there's another one there, and then there's another little line there. Kind of weird, but we'll see. I think it will work out in the long run. And then let's do another one on this side here. Okay. There's some that just go like off the canvas on the side. Not much on the other side that was there. So it's kind of like some weird lines happening, but it's working. So we're just gonna put that in there. It looks weird right now, but it's all good. It's all gonna come together. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with the yellow. And I want to put some bright streaks of this yellow. Oh, maybe I need some white in there now that I look at it. Let's do that. I'm just trying to put the same lines, but my paint is a bit drier, so the white. So I'm just putting in a few more of those streaky lines like that. I'll just show it a bit closer. So I have a couple little lines in white and yellow and a bit of those cloud kind of ideas with black, and I mixed red into it. So I basically put like a little bit of black into red, and then I just created this like really like reddish, dark reddish color instead of using pure black. Okay, so from here, the next step, again, you can still play with more clouds if you want to put more clouds. I think I'm going to leave it as is for now. The cool thing, which I didn't actually notice until someone mentioned it this past week, there's actually like a city skyline on this side, which is pretty cool. So I think I am going to replicate and have kind of like a city happening. And then I think this looks like a lot of clouds and stuff, but I think I'm going to just make it into a bit more of like kind of like earthy, like maybe it's some mountain or something happening. So I'm going to play a little bit with the land in the background. And that land is pretty straight. And I'm going to use black for it because it's in the far back. And I'm going to just start putting in what that looks like. Now to do that, you may want to use a guide just to have your line and your horizon be straight. Or you can kind of just freeform it. It's up to you. Trying to see actually, is it actually straight or is it on an angle? You know what, I think. Well, this part here, I feel like that's pretty straight too. So how does that work? Sorry, my eyes are playing tricks on me. Let me just see. Yeah, so that's definitely goes bigger to smaller. And then this part, yeah, so the horizon line is straight. Okay. The boardwalk here threw my eyes for a bit of a loop, so I just needed to like make sure that was accurate. All right, so let's get some black and let's play with it. I think I want to use a thinner brush. I think. I don't know though. I do really like. I'm gonna use this one. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so get some black paint. Okay. Do I have something? Yeah, so sometimes I will use like paper towel, if it makes sense, to give me like a straight line, although that's not long enough, so I'm not a fan of that so much. Maybe I'll grab, I'm gonna grab another painting. Cool, so this is one of the paintings we did a few weeks ago. Ta-da! So I'm gonna just use the edge since it's black already, so I don't ruin anything. So I'm just gonna like line up where I want my horizon to be. Just make sure it's straight. Yep. So I know you can't really see it, so I'm just gonna do it on my knees here. And I'm just gonna take my pencil and just go across like that to give myself a line. Oh, thank you, Lori. Okay, so let's get black paint. Do. And then let's play with this line. So I know there's some nice like buildings happening here. So I'm going to start putting a building. Maybe I'll just put in this line for the land first. Try to go back and forth. Right, or if you want to do a skyline of someplace you know, when it's like buildings and stuff, they kind of like a lot of the same height. So it's still kind of abstract. You can't really see, but they're just a bit more structured than if we're just going to do like a mountain or something. So we can see how there's like maybe like a little peaks. And then maybe there's like a bigger one here. So you can just continue with that line, the horizon happening. Okay. Little city. How freaking cute is that? So adorable. Yeah, you could put like your own city skyline if you want. You can make up your own, whatever your heart desires. And then on this side, I think I want to make it a little bit like mountainy, more like natural. There's no buildings on this side. I don't know why, but there's no buildings on this side. But there's land until about there, I think. Maybe all the way. I don't know. It's like a nice pool of water, so I don't know if I want the water. Not sure. No, I'm gonna bring the land all the way across. Okay, cool. Cool. Hi, Lisa. Yeah, absolutely. So Lisa's just asking if you can, you guys can watch it at any point later, the video. And yes, you absolutely can. I think at this point you could rewind and watch from the beginning if you wanted to right now. Otherwise, after this is done, I'm going to be putting this up on my Facebook under the videos tab, or it will also be up on my YouTube channel under Liza's Painting Parties. Cool? So you can do it either which way, whatever your heart desires. Thank you so much, Nick. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. She's saying my clouds are on point. Thanks. Clouds used to scare me, and now I've just embraced them, and I'm like, yes, let's just get her done. We can do this. And there's so many ways to capture them in paint. I'm trying to get the black off of this brush. I don't want it to stick in here. Eeh. Black is so powerful. It's like right in the barrel of it. Come on. There we go. Okay, that's better. Okay, so now I want to put in my water. And the water is interesting because the water is a reflection of the colors that we see in the sky. So what I can see with the water is that it's reflecting the yellows that we can see up here. There's like a slight like touch of like this blue-gray, but a lot of it is that yellow. So that's going to be kind of interesting. We'll see how that goes. And we will play with that. Hi, Joe. I'm so glad you always like check in and say hi. I love it. All right, so let's do that. Which brush am I using? I think I'm still going to use this one. I'm not going to use my big old number 10 brush. I think that's going to be a bit too big. I want more control. So I'm going to use this medium, like my number 2, to play with that. And realistically, I might have to still touch up that line. I feel like I'm going to end up touching it a little too much. Okay, so I think to start, I'm going to just put water just to wet this area first. It's a little bit too much water. My brush holds quite a bit of water. I'm just going to put water to where I want that to be. I'm just going to dab. So it's not like super drippy. Oh my. Okay, cool EO. Let's try that. Okay. Let's take the excess water off of that too. Okay, I'm going to start with blue. And I'm going to play from there. So I want to just put in blue. And right now I'm just, there's no like rhyme or reason how I'm doing it. I'm just like putting this line of blue in here. Oh, I need more white. Let's get more white right now. Yes. Okay, now with the white, I'm going to throw white on here. And I'm going to kind of go right over my blue and then start to bring it up to my horizon. Might use a little bit of water just to make it spread a little bit easier. I just want to close the gap between the water and my land mass and just go over the sky where we kind of painted on top of. Okay, so I have my line of blue. I'm just going to get white, and I just want to go under that blue just to soften it, to almost make it like a very, very light blue. I know it's like really thin on this side and it's thicker on this side, but I'm not going to worry about that yet, because when we put the stuff on top, that's when we'll play with it and set it up properly. Oh, just asking how the weather is here. And it's hot there. 29 on the island, going to get 35 later this week. Oh my. That's, you know what, Joe? That temperature's pretty common for us here in Ontario, near Lake Ontario. It's pretty common, plus all the mugginess. But I know for you guys, that's like not normal at all. So I feel for you, because that's intense. I definitely don't enjoy it when it's in the 30s. Yeah, it's really gross. Joe's on Vancouver Island, right? Oh, does it mean you're on Vancouver Island? Maybe, I guess. I wasn't sure. I thought you were. I think you said that, right? Yes, you are on Vancouver Island. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to get yellow, and I'm just going to start to like put in yellow in here too. And bring it up. And it's okay if I have a bit of a green tinge to it. That's fine for this painting. Okay, I'm going to get more yellow. Put it below. I say yellow. I meant to say white, because that's what I actually got, and I just put it into my yellow. Words. Okay. Just bringing that white, just to soften it slightly. So there's a nice little glare going on. It's nice. Feeling pretty. I'm just going into that blue area slightly, because I still want to dial that out. That looks pretty good, I think. do a little, yeah. So a little bit of orangey. I don't know if I want to go orangey. I'm gonna grab like a smidgen of red. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna throw in some red. I'm gonna get my yellow. And go on top of it and see if I like that or not. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want it to look like a blood stain in the water, so I think it's alright. I always think that every time I put like red in like something that's water, I'm like, ooh, I don't want it to be like a murder scene. That's where my brain goes right away. It's probably not healthy. I mean, that could be a whole category of paintings. I'm sure some people would dig that. My vibe is more like sunshine and sparkles versus blood and gore. Okay. Yeah, that worked. That worked. Okay. Gonna rinse off that brush a smidgen. Okay, and we're gonna cover so quite a bit of this with that pathway in the front there, and we're still gonna put in all these like bushes and stuff. So the next thing I want to do is I do want to put in this pathway, and it starts a bit lower and then it gradually comes up to almost where that blue area. So it's probably going to end about there, and it's probably going to start around there. So it's going to slightly veer up, and that has like kind of an orangey. Again, it's kind of reflective of like the sky because it has like a nice balance. There's like a browny orangey kind of vibe to it. Oh my goodness, you got up to over 40? That is crazy, Joe. Was it also like with the humidity and stuff too, or is it just like a pure hot 40? Because that's different, right? Whenever it's that mugginess and you have all the smog, it's like way grosser. I remember when I was in Portugal, my family's from the Azores, and the first time I went to the Azores, I remember thinking how wonderful it was because it didn't have humidity, at least when I went there. And I went out and I laid out on like, the beach area, and I stayed there like all day because it wasn't humid. My head told me, oh, it's not that hot. And didn't I get like the worst sunburn of my life? My legs were completely burned, like they peeled entirely. It was horrible, but I had no idea because in my head it wasn't muggy, so I thought, oh yeah, it's not that hot, because I was so used to the mugginess and I just associated it being super hot with that, and boy, did I learn my lesson. It was like, nope, just because it's that the sun is still very powerful, you don't have to feel like you can't breathe for the sun to be that powerful. Okay, so I think I want to mix almost like an orangey color, like a red and my yellow together, and then I'm going to throw in maybe a little bit of black to like darken it. I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see how that goes. I feel like that's like kind of the color that we got going there. It's like an orangey color instead of using like a brown. I don't want to do that. So yeah, we're going to do like an orange and then we'll play off of that. Good idea. Okay, so I want to start at about here. And the paint is wet, so now it's kind of mixing a bit, and I don't want it to mix. Probably should have waited until it dried more. And I want it to end about here. I think the same tactic should apply. That does not look that great. I'm going to grab other one and I'm going to just put a line in place that would make more sense. Without blowing it. go. That's better. Okay. So I just made my line instead because I was trying to do freehand and that was not working. So there's the line. That's much better. It is, after all, like a walkway, right? So it would make sense for it to be more, it shouldn't be very organic. It should be a bit straighter than what I was accomplishing on my own. Okay, so now I'm just going to, I want to get in the rest. Oh, it's different, eh? Shoot, I'm not sure. Okay, right now I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to try to get this all orangey. I think I want to start bringing it vertically. Start making it feel like the boards on the boardwalk. Okay, let's get some more color happening. Ooh, okay, that's a bit too red. It's okay. We'll utilize that. See what happens. I'm just going to fill in the rest of this in this color, and then we'll play with some of the details. Okay, so we have that going on. Oh no! Joe says that they also received second-degree burns from falling asleep at the beach. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine were like that too, because it was like significant blistering. It was horrible. Yeah, I feel ya. It's rude. Your sibling just like lets you sleep while you burn to a crisp. Okay. So now that I have my guideline of my beach walkway, just thinking, do I want to play with that more? Excuse me, I think I kind of do. Like, I want to at least separate out where it kind of like, no, it's more like that-ish. Paint's a little wet, so me putting my finger across it, actually, I can see the line of, yeah. So kind of like, pathway kind of goes like that. Yes. Okay, so I kind of do like that. Okay, and then I think with this pathway, we want to put a little bit of things happening. So there's a few things we can see. So we can see the boards, and I don't really want to be very specific and draw or paint in every single board. I don't think that would be prudent. I think it would be better to kind of get some of the coloring that's happening. So we see that it's not just all this one orangey color. We have it a little bit darker on this side. So let's get some of the gradients happening, not the shadow of the tree. We'll do that afterwards, but everything else about it. So I'm going to look at it and say, okay, so there's a little bit of it being darker over here. So I'm going to hesitantly get a little bit of black, and I'm going to start putting a little bit of black like this. And I'm not really sure what I'm doing right now. I'm just knowing this needs to be darker. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. I just got a little bit of water just to get me there a little faster in terms of what this difference in this shade will be like. Okay, so the bottom needs to be dark, and then I need to get that orangey back. get that orange back. Come on. Okay. So I'm going to just create this kind of color, and then maybe we'll then touch it a little bit with some boardwalk lines, which then will make it look more like the way it does in the photo, slightly. I just want to get this color happening. So it's a little bit darker at the bottom, it's a little bit lighter on the top, and then let's bring in this orange over, so let's get a bit more yellowy here. Let's just get the color happening. Color matching. Okay, and then it becomes not so dark. It's still a little dark, but whatever. Like, get away from that and get into it being yeah, that's good. Okay. And I think it's a little bit like yellowy here on this line. And got a little bit of white too, I think. It looks a little bit lighter just here. And then I just need to like try to blend that in a little bit into that orange again. Oof, it's too dark. Okay. So I'm kind of color mixing like on the actual canvas. So I'm just trying to get it a little bit back to that orange. If you already have that orange, it'll be a lot easier. Probably just grab it from your palette and go. There you go. So it has, I think that's getting what I want. I think I want to, there's a little bit of that. Hi Trish, absolutely. You can definitely have, you can watch this afterwards. So the playback, you can either rewind it right in the moment, or you can watch it afterwards on my YouTube channel, Liza's Painting Parties, or under the video tab on my Facebook page. And I'm using my number 2 brush, so my medium brush, to play with it because I want control. But this brush also holds paint really nicely. But it also like allows me to have like a broad stroke, but also kind of like thin strokes too. So I quite like it. Oh, I don't like that though. Okay, no, it's okay. We're gonna have plants and stuff covering, so it's okay. All right. I think I'm okay. I feel like it's a bit more burnty orange on this side though. I think I need to put in a little bit more, make it a little bit reddish. Get a bit more of this orangey vibe happening. And that's a little better. Okay, cool. All right, and then over here, there's like some darkness, and it's like some, I don't know, grass or something. I'm not really sure, but I'm just gonna go with black and just kind of do dabbies to get some texture, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really like it yet, but that's okay. I just want it to be darker. Is it a straight line? Well, not really, like kind of messes, you can murk it up a little bit. Cool. Now, I think I want to put in some of this like brush, I guess I'll call it. gonna clean that brush off, and I don't think I want to use this one though. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, I think I will start off with this brush, but then I think I'm going to use my thinner brush after. So I'm going to get my black paint. I'm going to play with that one. Oh, thank you, Trish. Trish says that it's absolutely beautiful. I really appreciate that. And you're from Trinidad. That's so cool. I love it. And Kathleen, I don't know if you messaged here, but I see that you messaged my page. I don't know if you're watching me, but I'm glad that you are happy to have found me and are enjoying it. Cool. Just gonna take a look there. Okay, perfect. So no other scammy people, which is good. Only artistic enjoyers, not scammers. Okay, so I'm going to put in black. I just want to put I want to make a line in black to separate my boardwalk from that little grasses and stuff that we have happening. Oh man, I think I'm gonna go like this. Keep my hands stable. Okay. Not perfect, but it works. It works. Ooh, I want you back though. Okay, so I think this is a little thicker, so I'm just going to make it a little bit higher. No, I want to use my thinner brush. Too much. I don't want to take a chance. Mess it up. Freak me out. Okay. Where are you? You're the one I want. Okay. So, I want to play a little bit and just put in almost like little grasses and random things. I'm just going in. These are actually quite high. I should make them a little bit higher. Sticking very low, my comfort zone. So I'm just making like little lines with my thin brush in black paint. You may want to put a little bit of water in your black paint too if it's not like inky. I like my paint like when I'm doing this, I want it to feel like ink. So it's very smooth and it rolls off the brush really easily. The more like little lines you can put in, the more it will feel full and more natural. And it'll look more layered with texture and different sizes. Like you want to have some that are thicker, closer to the front, some that are a little bit thinner, and so forth. And then there's some areas I don't have any. Like this. Let me get a little bit more. I have a nice little area over here. A little base for, I suppose, if you want to call it. Continue on. Thicken up this line a bit as we go. Okay. So then somewhere here. Okay, so another little area right there. Okay, and we're going to continue on. This is a little, yeah, I'm going to make this a little thicker. But we can't really see any of the brush or anything that's happening back here. It's just going to be a line of like land or something happening. Just making this a little thicker. Cute. Okay, so now I'm going to put in a little bit more of these little foliage by the water. Just like little touches of it. Maybe there's a little bit here too. A few little indicators. I do see a little bit more like down here and stuff, but just being specific. I don't really need those, I don't think, but they're easy and fun, so why not? Little things like that. And they're smaller and they're in the distance. So I put those further away, and then it kind of comes out to the front, and they get a little bigger as we go. So that gives it the sense of depth as well. So we have smaller, it gets a little bigger, and then much larger, because that's right in the front. Cool. Beautiful. How pretty. It's so pretty already. Don't you want to be going to take a nice walk along this path? I know I would. It's so pretty and nice. All right. So where are we at? 7-Eleven. Not too bad with time. Okay, so there's still a few more key components of this picture, obviously. Namely, we have our tree. That's going to be our beautiful focal point right dead in the center. So we're going to do that. We're also going to put in a little bit of texture and just to get the idea of like the boardwalk happening. So I'm going to put in a little few lines going on. And then we're going to put our shadow of our tree, and then we still got to put in our bright, beautiful sun as well. So let's start with the tree at this point. We're going to decide where we want it to live. I am going to use my fine point brush, but not just yet. I'm going to use my medium brush again, I think, to start putting in where I want this tree. I think. Where do I want to use this one? This is another medium-sized brush, also a number 4, but it's called like a cat's tongue. It has like a bit of a different shape to it versus this one. So it has more of like a rounded, and it can create a very fine point. So I might use this one. The image you're getting your idea from, is it a photograph or another painting? So Anna Rose, this is a photograph. This is a photograph that's taken by Michael Lyons. He's a Canadian photographer, and he's someone who's allowed me to paint from his gorgeous photos. I'm just impressed that he captured that. Like, I can't even, like, how do you take a pic? Like, I don't even know. I feel like the pictures that I take never capture things as gorgeous as professional photographers can. Like, it looks like a painting, right? And so many of his photos are like that. The ones from this week that we used as the ones everyone voted on, all of them felt like paintings because the colors were just magnificent in them. Okay, so I'm going to use this brush. It's like a medium brush, size 4, to start placing where my tree is going to be. So the tree lives behind the boardwalk in this brushy area. Okay, so I'm going to start off by doing what? Starting with, like, wherever I want my the actual trunk to live. Okay, just gonna put in the base of the trunk right there. Okay, and then from here, I'm looking at it, and it kind of, maybe I even did it a little bit larger, but it's okay. One of the branches kind of comes, and you don't have to make them exactly. I'm just gonna get the lines, and I'll thicken it up after. But I do want to kind of emulate this similarly because this tree is kind of funky. I like it. And then it goes upwards, and it there's a branch that kind of comes this way. There's another one that kind of comes this way. Some interesting lines going on. Have fun with it. And then once we have the shape of it, then I'm going to just thicken them up a little bit as I get closer to the trunk. It should always be thicker at the trunk, right? The trunk should be the thickest portion of it. It shouldn't be like a random branch that's super thick. That won't make any sense. As I go further away, they're thinner and thinner. Okay. And the other one that comes on this side. So this one kind of sticks out like this. Okay. And then it kind of dips in. Like that. And then it kind of juts out and up. Maybe like, let's start it up here. That's, boom, weird tree fun times. Oh, no way. That's so cool. So Anna Rose is saying that she was a semi-pro photographer 20 years and switched back to roots of fine art painting, and she teaches arts to kids from 5 to 15. Oh, that's fantastic. And most of your lessons are Pinterest inspired. That's so great. I love it. That's so happy. That's so great that you do. I think working with kids is so much fun. I've had the opportunity to do a couple of like painting sessions to some Girl Scout troops, and oh my gosh, it's like that is like if I could just do that, I think, and get paid to like just like do sessions for like Girl Scout troops or like kid groups that are like they were I think 7 to 9 or the majority of the that was like the ages that I ended up teaching. Yeah, but like so much fun, such great energy and so creative and yeah, absolute best thing ever. Okay, so now this other one's gonna go boom and go that way. So, and I'm trying to emulate the photo, but you don't have to. You can just make your tree be whatever kind of expression you want it to be. I just think this tree is pretty funky, and I'm digging its digging it, the way it's just being so cool. Like that. Oh. And some more coming this way. All right, so absolutely. Anna Rose is just saying that it's great to show them that there's no mistakes in art, and that's something that is so true. Just like have fun with it. I know I would always be so focused on like trying to get everything so perfect, but that's not the point of it. Like a lot of it is just to have fun and to find your own groove and style on things, and to capture what you see. So I'm going to start to veer off a little bit on this. I'm going to still do some of it similarly, but I want to put in a lot of these little branches, but I am going to be a little free on my own. Just add some lines wherever my heart desires. So the more little offshoots that you put on this, the more realistic it will look. You just need all of these little lines to be quite thin as I go further and further away. You can go on top of each other too. Let's not be shy of that. Sometimes I tend to make them all very similar looking, so I have to actively make sure I'm not doing that, and that's challenging. It's gotta be a little fatter. Oof, really thick. This part is a little tedious. You can feel free to use mixed media too, so if you don't want to do it with paint, you could always grab a thin marker and you could do the same thing, and that would create a cool effect as well. Just make sure your paint is fully dry when you do that, because sometimes you can ruin your markers. Just be cognizant of that. I've had that happen before. It made me quite sad. Just to protect you and your markers. Okay, this is looking good. Okay. I think I have to change my brush because this one's not giving me as thin lines as I'd like to. I'm just going to move from that one. I'm going to get my thinner brush, a fine point one, and then put in a few little baby lines. I need to get more black paint on here too. Ooh, that seems like a lot, but maybe not. trying to put a lot of like little wispy lines, and I want them to kind of like cross in front of each other. I still want them to be solid, so just like a solid line, but I want them to be wispy if possible. And I'm succeeding sometimes, and other times I'm getting them a little bit too thick. That was a bit too thick. That's okay. Okay, lots of lines happening. And this is a process that could easily just keep going and going and going and going until you just are sick of it. You could probably just keep putting more in constantly if you want to. And the more you put in, the like more wispy, like thin baby lines that you put in, the more realistic it's going to feel. You want to keep putting some that are a bit smaller than others, some that are large, some that are crisscrossy, some that are a bit more bold, some that, again, are very thin. I'm trying to make sure all of them actually like the branches are actually attached to other branches, because some of them seem to be floating in space. Which again, it is a painting and conceptual, so you can decide if you want to have that happening, but I would say try to do it. If you want something like that, then do it intentionally, and it doesn't look as like amateur or sloppy. Like if you want them to kind of be everywhere, then you can kind of build that in. But honestly, as long as you're having fun, that's the most important thing. Lots of branches. Lots of branches. Oh, I think I just made that a little bit crazy. I'll become a bird or something. close with putting little wispies all over the place. Do 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 do. As I'm doing, I'm just kind of touching up some of the lines I did before. If I don't like them as much, I'm just kind of going over some of them, adding some more wispies. I think I'm pretty happy with it. But again, this is one of those things that this can just go on for hours upon hours, depending how you want it to do. So you can kind of just keep going until you either get sick of it or until you feel like you're happy with the way it feels. I think at this point I need to stop and move on because it's now 7:36. I want to make sure I still get time to finish my boardwalk and put in that burst of sun and the shadow as well. So, oh yeah, that is kind of interesting. That's not a shadow of the tree, is it? That's the shadow of the tree. It's here. Huh. Alright, well, that was a little confusing in my head, but that's okay. Okay. So I think I'm going to put in this tree shadow right now. I'm just going to get black paint. And it's basically going to come straight down from here. But it starts small. And then it becomes a little bigger. Kind of looks like water at this point. That's okay. We'll just leave that as is. Digging it. Okay. Let me just clean off this brush a little bit more. It feels a little crusty and I don't want it to get damaged. Okay. Okay, that worked out. Okay. So I want to put in some of the lines here in this boardwalk. So I want to get my thinner brush, I think. And I want to get some red. I want to mix a little bit of black into the red to create that really like dark burnt kind of red color. So it's not still like black, but it has like a reddish tinge to it. That's what I'm mixing into it. And I'm going to use that to play with some of the ideas of there being like lines here on the boardwalk. So just going to put in, oof, no, I can't do it like that. I have to make it flat. Oh my, I don't like the way that looked at all. 1 second. Let me just fix that up because that is not what I wanted it to be. Just painting over it as if it's like a magical eraser, which it is kind of. That's not the way I wanted it to be at all. That did not turn out well. Not turn out good. Okay, like that. Okay, let's try that again, but I think I'm going to have to put it like on my legs a bit. So the lines have to go all in the same direction. Over here, they're going to be a bit more like few and far between. If it doesn't look right too, we can always go right over them as well. I'm going to try it out and see. And if I don't like that, I might just repaint it. Don't really want them to be like super in your face. But this paint is not cooperating with how I want it to flow. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm digging it. I don't think I am. I'm going to continue for a bit and then we'll see. Maybe I'll just dull it out afterwards. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, down here, I got something smaller. Okay, you know what? I'm digging it. That's fine. That's actually working. Nice enough. There's some little touches that I can still do with it, but overall, I think that's fine. Still gives that vibe of that boardwalk happening. I'm gonna keep it. Okay, now let's pop in that bright, beautiful sun. So that sun lives here. I'm gonna go right in with white and yellow. Just gonna get my thin brush. It's quite dry though, so I'm just gonna wet it up a little bit. Okay, so I want that bright burst of golden sunshine here. Okay, so I need it to be brighter. Okay, and then we need to bring it out. Bring it out. Oh my gosh, the paint's so dry. It's not cooperating nicely. Okay, so I'm using white and yellow, and I just put a little bit of red to get that orangey vibe back in, just to emphasize that a bit more. So that's, I just kind of put it like that. It's not exactly the way I wanted it, but I think it keeps pulling off some of the paint, so I want to make this a bit more solid. I might have to let it dry and then add more paint on top of it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I think I'm feeling pretty good about it. There's like that, I don't know, it's like darkness coming down that way, and I kind of want to put that in there, but I don't really understand why it's like that. So, but I'm going to put it in, so let's see what happens. It might turn out well, it might not turn out well. You know what? I'm digging it. That actually is good. Okay, I think I'm gonna call this one complete. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Bethany. All right, let's bring it back like this. All right, so thank you all for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed painting this gorgeous photo from Michael Lyons Photography with me this week. If you have and you joined me, please snap a picture of it and share it as well. I'd love to see your creations. I will take a picture of this too and share it with everyone so you can see how it all turned out. And again, on Saturday, there'll be 3 more options that will be available so you can vote on. And the one with the most votes by the following Tuesday at noon will be the one that we will paint all together next Wednesday. Again, there are 3 more photos that will be there, also by Mike Lyons, and he is fantastic. So I'm excited for you guys to vote and to see which one you like best. If you've enjoyed this, feel free to leave me a tip on Buy Me a Coffee. You'll see the link there. Not necessary at all, but appreciated, of course. Everything is free, so you'll see all the videos on my videos tab on the Facebook channel, or you can go on my YouTube channel, Liza's Painting Parties, and you can see everything there as well. All right, have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care, everyone. Bye.